Hey folks, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be a long overdue overview of one of my newer tools, the Grizzly Industrial Edge Belt Sander with a radius, fingerboard radius attachment. These two arms that cantilever over top of the belt sander here are an incredibly useful tool in the shop if you're trying to do large-scale production radiused fingerboards. And there's not a lot of material online about how to make these adjustments, set things up, measurements you need to consider. So this is kind of a video to hopefully help out people who are either interested in this machine or just interested in how this machine works. I'm going to go over how to change belts, how to make adjustments on the radius sanding arms, how to do adjustments on the actual swinging arm itself, and then just a few quirks and tips that I've really just kind of found out make the process a bit easier and accurate, and really make production flow smoothly. So a few tools that you're going to need. A straight edge, just to confirm that you don't have any dips and dives. A 12 mil wrench, a 6 mil Allen key, and radius gauges or a block. Some way to measure that you're actually on par with what your desired radius should be. So let's go into the operations of the machine, and then I'll go into how to make adjustments to suit whatever radius you're trying to achieve. Effectively, this is a belt sander, an edge belt sander. An edge sander can either be vertical or horizontal on its plinth. The plinth is the flat base right here, which gives you a nice big straight edge. This is also a very handy tool for doing joints and making little veneers and all kinds of things like that. So lots of uses in this guy. But it's essentially a belt that rotates around a flat base under tension, and dust goes into the collection system over here, and that's really all the belt sander does. So what Grizzly has done, which is really awesome, they've made these cantilevered arms which give you the opportunity to swing this gantry system over top of this belt while it's rotating, and the fulcrum points here dictate the radius on your fingerboard. So if you have these arms all the way up to their maximum fulcrum point, which is 16 inches, or the minimum point, which is 9 inches, I believe, you can really change your radius based upon the fulcrum point. The real advantage of this too is that you could do compound radiuses, which has, say, like a 16 and a 10 on one end or the other. Really awesome tool. It runs on a 220 volt. Doesn't come with the plug when it comes out of the box, so this is just an easy construction, like a replacement plug that you can get at really any Home Depot or any hardware store should have a 220 plug. So looking at the controls that you're going to be using on the face here, you have a lever and two knobs. You also have the guard here that you need to take on and off to replace belts, and I'll show you that very quickly because I do need to replace this belt. So, lever here is your tensioning system, so under tension, off tension. You can see it probably loosey-goosey down there, which is how you should leave it so you don't stretch out your belts and give your belts the most longevity that they deserve. So under tension, we've got that. Now, these two knobs here, this have a couple of functions. So this one locks this back roller, this one tilts this back roller. Now, a slight adjustment on either one of these knobs will tilt the belt so that'll either climb towards you or away from you. You're actually playing around with these quite a bit, I find. Even just leaving this a little looser or tighter, it makes a world of difference, because once you've got this gantry swinging and the belt's going, the last thing you want is for your belt to come towards you, and you can already see, maybe on camera there, in my first couple of trials, belt went way too far towards me, started hitting this guard, which thankfully it was there. Sparks are flying, blah, 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 you know, everything shuts down and you're wondering what the heck was going on. So once you get the hang of it, doing little micro adjustments on both of these knobs will, when the workpiece is running, get you a really nice fine balance, so you're getting the most of your belt, and you can really just focus on the radiusing operation. So let's go into how to change a belt, because this belt is currently spent. First things first, whenever you're making adjustments to a machine like this, especially with 220, always unplug it. Get rid of the gantry arm. Just gonna set this down, out of the way. Unlock the lock, doesn't matter about the tilt. Detension the system. Take off the yellow guard, don't lose the washer. That'll come back in a second. Now over here you have the dust extraction port side. There's a small clip underneath. You just clip it off. The door swings open, and now you can slide the belt off. So again, not a totally useless belt. This stuff is actually, this is 100 grit, but it's been spent, so it kind of feels almost like a really light grade 220. So where's the joint? There it is. So the joint's really spent, so I like to just rip these and then measure your level sanding beam, which is usually about, 12 inch, 16 inch, whatever it may be. And you can make nice little strips that, again, you can rip that down the middle. You can use these for neck sanding too, if you need to sand like a C profile. These are still really, really great. It's got a really nice thick backing. So not totally useless, but not good for what we're trying to do. Now, the type of belt that you're gonna need for this is a 6 inch by 80 inch, and then whatever grit you're choosing to use. 80 grit is a bit rough, and I find that like a 220 grit is just, you're gonna be burning through a lot of sandpaper. Yeah, depending on what species of wood that you're using to radius your fingerboards, will determine the longevity of your sandpaper. I get these guys from Busy Bee in Vancouver. Kind of hard to find belts like this. You're not going to find these at Home Depot, so you usually have to special order them in bulk, because once in a while there'll be a tear or a rip or something like that. So follow the arrows, because you want to make sure the joint is going to suit you. All right, and then just roughly center it onto the guy. Close up the door. Lock it in place. I don't need to worry too much about that. Put on the yellow guard. About an inch proud of the roller here, and then just a little bit high there. Gonna give you folks a bit of an up close of just how to center the belt. You'll be making these adjustments while the arm is swinging, so you're always kind of checking the swing of the arm, the belt, and how things move back and forth. So make sure if you're detensioning, you have to unlock this. So that's detensioned, tension on, and you see how it's off center right now. Now I'm gonna lock this roller, and I'm gonna make micro adjustments with this lower knob to move the belt back and forth. So might not be able to hear me, but I'll move the belt back and forth just so you can kind of see how these little operations make a huge difference. I find you're using both of these. It's not just like a lock and adjust. You're actually just, depending on the tightness of the lock knob itself, will actually move back and forth. If you tighten it, goes towards the wall, loosen it, comes towards you. So you're always kind of finding a balance between these two knobs. Now I'm gonna be aiming for a 9.5 inch radius, which according to the spec sheet should be the very bottom of this channel here, where the pin moves up and down. So loosen, drop, boom. So it's really quick, really easy. Some folks have done little marks. I just check it every time. It takes about 10 seconds. Really not an issue. Okay, now that you've adjusted the fulcrum point pins, throw it in the machine, and you can see the issue that we have now. This is clearly too high. So how do I get it to the point where if I apply a fingerboard, I'm gonna get something that's got a nice apex. Again, I like about 5 mil at the apex of my radius, and then my radius just tapers down to whatever it is for a 6-string guitar, about 3 mil on the edges. So you got some nice room for side dot inlays and whatnot. It's good to really it's good to start standardizing your fingerboards, which is what I found. Fortunately, my helical planer, its lowest setting is 1/4 of an inch. So for fingerboard blanks, I fire through, the last cut is my fingerboard cut, 6.3 mil, 1/4 inch, and that comes out with a blank like this. This is just a piece of cherry that I've dedicated to be my, well, it's a fingerboard blank, essentially, but it also helps me dictate how the apex of my fingerboard material, my fingerboard radius. So you have to use your 12 mil wrench. Fulcrum points are adjusted. Now we're going to move the gantry arms. Come on down. There we go. Okay. Now those arms are moving all the way down. I've put the 1/4 inch fingerboard blank over top of my belt. So now the apex of my swing will be 6.3 mil. As it swings, it will reduce the fingerboard blank to the radius based upon the fulcrum points by the arm. But I'm just going to press up the weight of this swinging arm. It's playing up. I'm just going to tighten these bolts, making sure they're perpendicular to the arms. You don't want them swayed out or anything like that. So just do a quick tighten up. There we go. There we go. When I remove my fingerboard blank and then insert the arm back, you can see it's now floating. So now that you have the fulcrum points set, you have the gantry arms set, you can now, if you choose to, just throw your fingerboard on and go. But I have found that it is always nice to test, and worst case scenario, you have an extra fingerboard blank that has a radius, and you'll use it sometime down the road. So this is just an off-cut piece of maple because I'm going to be doing a maple fingerboard, and I've just drawn a center line down center here, 70 mil wide, pretty standard, and then 35 and 35. So let's do this side. Just use up the shatter there. Now you can see I've drawn, or scribed rather, a center line right down the center of this beam. This is nice and flat, but you want to make sure that it's nice and clean and clear of any old glue residue from double stick carpet tape, because that is what we're going to be using to adhere this. So indoor double stick carpet tape from Scotch, the company that makes tape, not the beverage, is a great double stick tape that we can get here in Canada. You can find it at Canadian Tire and Home Depot. It's nice because it's clear, so you can see my center line, so that's really helpful sometimes. No rhyme or reason about applying this. You really just want to make sure that you're dead center with your lines. So we're gonna do that on the tape there and on the tape there. So center line to center line, apply, and this is the side that is going to be radiused. That's the only thing to really keep in mind. I chose this side because I have a bit of chatter, so hopefully the radiusing process will get rid of that. And but if it doesn't, this blank is plenty big enough for me to actually throw in like a nut slot here for a future fingerboard. So, all right. You may also notice that these arms are a little offset, so this arm is closer to myself than this arm. That is just to maximize the use of the belt, so that I'm kind of using the whole belt. You can lift the workpiece to check for straightness with your straight edge, like this. It's always handy to have it just kind of ready to go there. You can also use your radius gauges, and you're just kind of checking this nice against a shop light or what have you. But it's also a good starting point. So you don't want to just go swinging into it because that's gonna strife the machine. I've found that you kind of lift it and really gently for your first application, just get it nice and straight. So here I'll check out the radius, 9.5, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I hope that explains a bit more of the functionality, strengths, weaknesses, and operations of the Grizzly Industrial Radius Sander. It's an incredible tool. I really enjoy it. It's expensive. I think it was about $1,200 US, and then freight shipping. Wasn't a cheap purchase, and by no means is the sandpaper cheap either. It does cost a bit to get going. Also have to make sure you have 220 power. So there are some upfront costs for sure, but long term, this thing has saved me hours and hours and hours in labor. If I wanted to, I could spend a good hour today and just pound out, 20 radius fingerboards that are all ready to go, and then cut slots for all kinds of different scale lengths, multi-scale, what have you. I could easily spend a whole day just doing compound radiuses and fill up my entire inventory for an entire year, and then of all kinds of different species, scale lengths, etc. I might have glossed over something, or if someone just wants an opinion on it, just ask me in the comments. And I'll be happy to get back to you. Or reach out via email. You can find me at vigilantguitars.com. You can contact me through that website, Instagram, check out social media, Facebook, all that fun stuff. There's also some big announcements coming down the road too. We're doing a big guitar show in Victoria, slated for next year. Myself and Ruben Forsland of Joy Guitars. I'll link him in the description below. We're throwing on a guitar show. We're doing it. We were talking about this before the pandemic. We've got it all ready to go. We've got the website up and running. We're going to be putting on a guitar show here in Victoria Conference Center, slated for next year, April 23rd. It's a Saturday, 2022. I'm going to be probably blasting a bit more through social media and videos in the future about that. But if you're interested in coming, if you're in the Victoria or Vancouver area, come on over. It's going to be free to the public to wander around, talk to luthiers, builders, and all the like, and get to test out some guitars. There's going to be a demo room. We're going to have evening performances. It's going to be a big fun show. If you're a builder yourself, check out the website. There's a lot of information if you'd like to purchase a table. You can also reach out to myself or Ruben through the Victoria Guitar Show website. And we're happy to answer questions if you have any concerns. So check that out, victoriaguitarshow.com. Again, link in the description. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' patience, and yeah, stay vigilant.